Hi. Alright, so let's just jump into this. So this video is about Sneako. Not about Sneako, actually. It's about his latest video, which was just uploaded 2 hours ago. Um, let's just jump into it. I haven't prepared this. I was just lying in bed. That's one good thing about this video is that it got me out of bed. Yeah, because I've just been in bed the last couple days. What I need to work on is my project for my birthday, which is a new channel trailer that I'm going to post on my birthday. By the way, update February 3rd is when I'm moving out of my apartment and moving into the woods. If you're new to the channel, well, anyway. Let me try this introduction again. So hey guys. So I've just been lying in bed the last few days, which kind of sucks, but it's also okay because I'm still making good progress on my birthday video, golden birthday coming up on Wednesday, and as you don't know, I'm working on a project for that, a new channel trailer. And it's also a little song that explains why I'm moving into the woods, which is happening on February 3rd. All right, so I need to get back to that project. Like I said, this video got me out of bed, which is really cool. I haven't watched it yet. So let's talk about Sneako. Sneako seems cool. Seems like a pretty smart guy. He reminds me a bit of a sort of a younger, more confident me. He has some cool things that I think he's figured out, such as like that maybe college is a bit of a joke, bit of a scam, and he didn't go to college like me, which is of course often the people who say that college is a scam. And he said some interesting things about vanity and ego. I feel like he hasn't maybe completed that journey yet, but never mind. I don't know Sneako. He seems cool. He seems open. Seems ready to learn, which is part of the reason I'm hoping he actually sees this video. Let's jump into this bitch. So I'm scrolling through YouTube and I see how ADHD ruined my life. Well, okay, cool. So another thing that we sort of maybe have in common, both have ADHD. And then we've got this, his thumbnail is him being cool on the railroad tracks saying ADHD isn't real. And that'll get me going. There are a few things that will sort of light my match as quickly as somebody saying something like that. It's anti so much. It's anti-science. It's anti... But we haven't watched the video, so we're going to watch the video, see what he says. But I might as well in this video talk to you about my own experience with ADHD. So I was diagnosed when I was 7. My dad has it. My brother has it. I've been medicated since I was 7. I've had a lot of experiences with ADHD. And of course, I don't just mean with my own ADHD, but with interacting with other people about it. And maybe that would be a longer video than I want to make. So maybe I'll just tell you about those things as they come up in this video. But the one thing that I'll say, the bottom line is, when you say that ADHD isn't real, how do I say this? When you say that ADHD isn't real, and you've got people who believe that, then they think that these people who have very real impediments and disadvantages are lying, maybe making it up, or just stupid, lazy. There's a book, sort of an important ADHD book called Oh, So I'm Not Stupid, Lazy, or Crazy. ADHD is actually it's a little bit, I don't know, is it hard to talk about? Is that what I'm feeling right now? It's a lot to talk about, especially because when I make these YouTube videos, I always imagine that maybe I'll have a bunch of subscribers one day, of course, right? That's kind of the goal. And I thought that Sneako could potentially be a collaborator or friend. Let's just jump into it and see whether I become any more articulate. All right, let's do this.
Okay, let's say what's up to these tourists. What's up? Yeah. Without a doubt? Yeah.
So he asked his girlfriend whether she thought that he had ADHD, I guess. All right, here we go.
ADHD is a mental disorder that most often occurs in children. 6.4 million kids have ADHD. Age when symptoms of ADHD typically first appears ages 3 to 6 years old. So they're saying 3-year-olds have trouble staying organized. A 3-year-old. I couldn't speak English when I was 3.
Like, I mean, what does speaking English have to do with being organized? Also, I doubt that it's saying that 3-year-olds can't be organized. I mean, that's why at the beginning I said it's anti-science. It's just anti sort of information, logic, and reason. And look at his dumbass face. Sneako, in a lot of cases I like you, but look at his fucking face as he is just like, yeah, I've got this shit figured out. What I'm assuming, and I may be completely wrong, is that because I in one of the comments said something about if you raise a bird in a cage, it'll think that flying is a mental illness. So people have this idea about ADHD that basically it's like people who are just more creative and more fun, who are then told that they can't achieve anything, and so we limit them and we put them in this box, and we're doing it to kids everywhere. A kid doesn't sit down for 3 hours, he has ADHD and therefore, is a problem. There's so many issues sort of along that. First of all, maybe ADHD is diagnosed. That's not what we're discussing here. We're discussing whether or not it is real. Okay, we're not even discussing that. He's talking about whether or not it is real for the people who are diagnosed. I don't think this is helping me become more articulate. Because now I'm thinking, and then there are all those people who will say stuff like, oh yeah, I have ADHD, I have a little depression, I have a little OCD. Fuck you, because I have all three of those things, and each one of them has contributed to ruining something in my life. Having ADHD does not mean that sometimes you get distracted, sometimes you blank, sometimes you blurt things out, whatever. That is not what that means. It means you have a pathological problem with those things, where they are a disorder is defined as something that interferes with your professional, personal, academic, whatever, social life, okay? ADHD has interfered with all of those for me. Depression, everybody gets a little bit sad, but there are some people who for weeks on end cannot get out of bed. Going for a run is an impossible idea. And I know that if you are neurotypical, you cannot understand that. But just like people who should shut the fuck up about transgenders and transsexuality, just because they haven't had those experiences, and straight people should shut the fuck up about gay people, and white people should shut the fuck up about black people, if you're neurotypical, you might just have to trust us. And if you don't want to just take our word for it, just look at the information, the science. Look at what we've learned about how the brain is different with ADHD. The last I checked, it was about the dopamine receptors. D4, D5 receptors aren't properly encoded, which means that the dopamine, when it crosses the synapse, doesn't actually excite the next cell as it's supposed to, which means that those cells, those regions aren't activated, which means that regions involved in inhibition, in planning, in foresight, and all those things aren't activated, which means those behaviors aren't produced. That's all. It's also norepinephrine thing. I was just actually thinking about this the other day. Yeah, fuck you, just bear with me. When I would be in school, all the kids with ADHD, or really sort of any learning disabilities, they'd get extra time on tests, right? So I would go to the Disability Resource Center where I would take my tests rather than taking the classroom with everybody. And I would get like time and a half or double time. And what was extremely frustrating about that is that was actually the only time when I wouldn't really need extra time. Some people with disabilities do need extra time, right? But at 9 a.m. in the morning, I just had my medicine like 2 hours ago. Sun's shining, I'm up, I'm active, and all that stuff. That's the time when I'm most thinking like a normal human being, as far as my ability to switch focus, to work on the next question, to follow a line of thinking, etc. But then it was unimaginable to so many of my teachers to have extra time for the actual assignment. As though the ADHD happens in the morning, but then when you get home, there's no more ADHD. You can work on your assignments, get them done just as quickly as everybody else. That sort of misunderstanding of ADHD is just, it's hurt me in a lot of ways. Or the teachers who have thought that I was trying to cheat them, weasel my way out of things, making up excuses and stuff, or people who would say, sort of another version of saying that ADHD isn't real is pretending that ADHD is some sort of a magical demon on your back and you can work hard to get it off. It's like if you treated people with paralysis as having a monster on their back and you said,
look, I get it. It's really hard for you to walk. But if you sort of power through, if you push with your legs, maybe you'll be able to overpower that monster.
It's just the dumbest fucking thing. What? No, the problem is that my legs don't work. And the same thing with ADHD and like depression. The problem is that the faculties that I would use to overcome any obstacle are not really working that well. All of that said, it is true that the ADHD people have certain advantages that other people don't have in select fields, but those advantages generally don't apply. They don't apply in school. They do not apply in school. In a system where you need to go to class, be on time, listen to the professor, take notes, go home, decide yourself to review those notes, sit there, review those notes without falling asleep or getting distracted. Get yourself in front of the computer to write a paper. Start typing. Continue typing and focusing on this one subject without getting distracted or falling asleep. Because never mind, I won't explain the chemistry. And then Oh, and also without getting too absorbed in it, that you lose sight of all of your other responsibilities, right? Because hyperfocus is a big thing with ADHD people, right? They'll just lose hours and hours of something, which can be an advantage. We get completely sucked into something, right? But that advantage doesn't help you unless you're running your own business. And then, only then, you have to have somebody else that takes care of the little things, like my parents. Like me, hopefully I'll find someone who will be my partner and who will have a good eye for or will have the whatever to take care of some of the little things. Also the big things. But how are we already at 10 minutes? God damn it. Let's just watch this video.
What does a 3-year-old have to organize?
Nothing, you idiot.
They don't have to do taxes. They don't have homework. You're shitting, you use a diaper, and you're saying...
I mean, all of these jokes and stuff are actually convincing people that ADHD isn't real. Like, humor is a huge way that we convince people, right? And people are watching this, and they're like,
yeah, wow, ADHD is a joke because 3-year-olds are diagnosed with ADHD if they don't pay taxes.
which is completely false. This straw man, I'm so disappointed in this guy. I mean, I believe he has potential because I think he's a pretty smart guy who's pretty open. And if he actually watches this video, maybe he'll make a follow-up, but...
Got Google. I started explaining ADHD to people in the terms of our brains have a lack of dopamine. There's not the same amount of dopamine release in ADHD brains as there are in normal brains. That's why people look around in class, stare at the squirrels, look out the window. We got to be doing something else. We got to shake our legs. We got to be moving. We need something. But where this gets confusing is that now with phones and with all the stimulation that's going around us, if you try to sit in a movie with someone of my generation, they can't make it an hour and a half without checking their phone. Train's here. My ex-girlfriend, you use me as your subject for mental illness, right?
Yes. So what I used you for was a client-based...
So you use me?
You were my subject for a client-based interview. Active hyperactivity... No, attention... Oh my gosh, there's so many levels.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Listen, I do acronyms.
Maybe you should drop out, not me. And you think I have ADHD?
Yes.
What symptoms, when we were together, what symptoms did you see from me? Because I'm at the point where my problem is that it might be real, but I don't think it's a mental illness. I don't think it's a mental disorder. Because, hold on, it's not like people like me have the inability to focus on anything. Because when I am interested in something, I can focus on it. You've seen me edit. When I get in the zone, I get in the zone.
So you can see that he's open. I guess it's just really irresponsible, in my opinion, what he did with his video title card. It's just really ignorant, bro. But like I said, he reminds me of just sort of a younger me, and I probably would have done the same thing. If I had this many followers, I would share my first thoughts. And I do share my first thoughts here. And so maybe I've shared some reckless ideas as well here. And maybe I'm not so much mad at him as I'm mad at the viewers, because we don't live in a world where we think or watch critically. So we hear something like that bullshit 3-year-old thing. Oh yeah, I am mad at him for that. And we go, oh right, that validates my position on this issue. I needn't really speak to a person with ADHD who has some self-awareness or who has done their own research. Because of course somebody with ADHD can believe it too, just like has his own doubts. Especially someone with ADHD who has made it, right? They can be like, oh yeah, ADHD doesn't exist because I found that thing that I can hyper-focus on. But I'm just thinking back to like all the teachers that, what if they were like, well, if you really wanted to, you would be able to focus on it. And there are different levels of want, right? These kids that do really well in school, do they want to learn any of this shit? Or do they just want to get good grades? So, and how many things a semester am I supposed to want to learn? And then not to mention, it's not even that. It's just so easy to get distracted by other responsibilities. I mean, just the fact that they are responsibilities. I don't actually end up even doing any of the things I'm supposed to do, but just like you get overwhelmed and...
But you're able to focus, but you do have your moments where you're in the zone, either on your own or because you took something. Otherwise, I've seen you where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then 5 minutes later you stop and you're like, I can't do this. And it's not even just in your work, but also your personality. Okay, go into more detail with that.
So I think what she's about to say, I scrolled down, I was just looking at some of the comments, and one of the comments said, wow, she thought he had ADHD because he blanked during conversation. We're such a stupid fucking species. So there's a difference. All right. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to start making videos and being more nice to you guys. Okay. So basically, there's a difference between, I mean, we all blank on stuff, right? And there's a difference between blanking on things every once in a while and blanking on things to the point where you don't catch any of those things, right? I'm sure we all can agree. Well, people with ADHD, they have it so bad that they blank on so much they miss a lot, and it really affects their lives. All of us have trouble reaching things sometimes, but midgets have a lot more trouble, right? That laugh almost turned into a yell.
But you're like sitting there nodding and stuff, but you had no idea what I said.
So is that my personality or is that a mental illness?
That's
Also, there's the whole thing with mental illness. I prefer disorder to describe ADHD. It's a mental disorder. It's not disease. I don't know whether illness technically works, but I think it's really misleading. Another huge problem with understanding ADHD is that we believe in the soul. Oh, fuck, forgot to be nice. Is that we believe in the soul. And so when you believe in a soul, there's a big difference between your personality and biological issues. And so you have a personality. You like chocolate chip ice cream. Maybe you get angry easily. Maybe you like to bully people. Maybe you're kind of evil and you kill people. And then there's biological issues. You broke your foot. You have a tumor in your brain that makes you kill people. That is one of the most unfortunate myths for somebody with ADHD, this separation of mind from brain, of personality from biology. This goes back to the whole demon on your back thing. That's why that works for people. That's why you can imagine ADHD as some external entity holding a person back, where in fact it is actually part of that person, or in fact an absent part of that person. It is faculties are missing from that person. And there may be others in surplus in a way. The important thing is that the faculties that are needed in 21st century society are missing, or a lot of them anyway. If we were to understand that you are your brain, then it would be a lot easier to digest the idea that if a part of your brain is twisted the wrong way, don't know why I phrase it that way, then your personality will in a sense be twisted the wrong way. Now, our brains are all different and our personalities are all different, right? So usually a difference isn't the wrong way. But, and this goes back to the definition of disorder, if it interferes with your personal, emotional, blah, blah, blah life, well, it is twisted in the wrong way. Just like we all have different muscles. But if you're not able to lift things, oh, well, your muscle is twisted. What do you twist? An ankle? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I hope you're following me. Also, there's the whole negative thing about mental disorders. It's just reality, dude. And this goes back to one of my other videos. People act like differences or disorders are sort of such a bad thing that they should be denied. Differences are not a bad thing whatsoever. Disorders are sort of a bad thing, but there's no need to deny them. Black people have to deal with racism. Being black's kind of a sucky thing. Let's go back 100. No, it is now, but we also find pride in community and so on, so there are things to counterbalance, but being black is kind of a bad thing. But you're not gonna say,
Don't say that he's of African descent. Oh my God, no you're not. You're just as white as the rest of us.
Likewise, if you have ADHD, people have a tendency to do this ridiculous thing where they say,
No. Hey, me too. I also sometimes get distracted. Oh, wait, you've been unable to graduate college and you have failed like really easy classes and have had to drop out and your parents are in a lot of debt and you just weren't able to finish and you keep getting fired from your jobs for either being late or just making these certain mistakes that are typical for ADHD people. Oh, well.
And see, here's where it gets interesting. I think I lost my last train of thought. Here's where it gets interesting. The corollary of ADHD not being real or of everybody being in the same boat is that,
oh, well then I guess you just suck. I also get distracted. We all get distracted. So you don't have any worse of a prefrontal cortex. I guess you just don't want it badly enough. Or I guess you just don't care. You're just lazy.
Lazy is a tricky concept. You could say that technically people with ADHD are lazy, depending on how you define lazy. If it's that they don't do work that they need to do, then yes, ADHD people are lazy. But if it's that they aren't interested in doing the work that they need to do, not so much. That's why I take medicine, because there's work that I want to get done. I'm not lazy. I would love to just be able to work all the time. That's my personality and my biology, right? That's how my brain is. My brain has a desire to work, and yet the instruments in it that actually would be getting that work done, oops, gross, sorry, are going to be getting that work done, those aren't really working. So it's like again, going back to somebody in a wheelchair. Somebody in a wheelchair, if you define laziness as not walking, as always just sitting down, then yes, people in a wheelchair are lazy. But if you define it as not wanting to walk, then no, not necessarily. That's why sometimes they get prosthetics, or maybe that's too expensive, whatever, and so they move around in a different way, you know? We're really tempted to believe that we're all the same and that brain and personality are different and that a soul exists and all this stuff. It's all really, really tempting. And to have this sort of rosy view of the world. But it hurts a lot of people, you know, just like...
Why can't we all just get along? Racism doesn't exist. Stop bringing it up. We're all the same. I don't see color.
You know, that can hurt a lot of people.
ADHD is considered a
It's an illness. You really think I have an illness?
It's considered a neurological...
I mean, you see the way he's asking that, though, right? It's all about what's connoted by the word illness. You think I have an illness. It's like, I think that you're different in a way that can compromise a lot of the things that you might want to achieve. Yes.
Yes. If a majority of society...
Your nails are shiny.
I was really looking forward to hearing what she was going to say. I mean, the way this kid talks...
Without a doubt?
Yeah.
I would do an interview the exact same. Fuck, I'm doing exactly what he's doing right now. You probably just want me to watch the video, but that's just not the way our brains work.
ADHD isn't real. Stay woke. Big Pharma is scamming you. Adderall is just meth in a pill. It's not actually a mental illness. It's just a focus problem, and most of it is due to social media and current societal norms rather than...
Due to current societal norms? Maybe. No. The reason ADHD leads to so many people being homeless and in such shitty life situations, maybe because of societal norms. Absolutely. I think that totally. Absolutely. College is a great filter for great people with ADHD. Graduate school is another great one. I would love to have gone to graduate school. That was always the plan, to get my PhD in neuroscience, but couldn't cut it. So yes, the requirement to focus on multiple things, to keep switching back and forth for your entire youth, and being a young adult, that sucks for people with ADHD. And so that is one of the ways that makes an illness, right? Because like I said, it's defined as a disorder if it is of significant detriment to your educational life. And of course, ADHD is because of the way the society is. Because of our digital age, what an egoistical? Bro, this has not always been how the world was. ADHD predates iPhones, buddy. I like you, Sneako, but holla at me.
A malfunction or chemical imbalance in your brain. Let's get it.
Wait, what do you say? It is not because of
rather than malfunction or chemical...
What? Hold on. He might actually be... I was wondering whether he's actually listing things that are not true. So let me see.
This is kind of weird. I'm the only one in this car. ADHD isn't real. Stay woke. Big Pharma is scamming you. Adderall is just meth in a pill. It's not actually a mental illness. It's just a focus problem, and most of it is due to social media and current societal norms rather than malfunction or chemical imbalance in your brain. I'm talking about ADHD. I don't think ADHD is real.
Really?
I have it. It was diagnosed when I was 12, but I don't really know if it's real.
I think it's overdiagnosed. I think it's real, though.
But why doesn't it really exist in other countries? It's only a thing in this country.
I mean, we're over-medicated. We're like the only country that's over-medicated.
This is the canon ADD.
To answer that question, it's like asking why. I'm in such a good mood. Why doesn't it exist in other countries? I'm actually stalling right now because I'm trying to think of a good example. Why doesn't it exist in the black community? ADHD. Probably, let's say 50 years ago, homosexuality is a made-up thing. Why doesn't it exist in the black community? It's only among whites. Buddy, it's because blacks aren't coming out. And as far as ADHD, it's because they're not getting tested Their parents are telling them stupid shit like this. Oh, I'm not gonna do a voice. It's why ADHD people, they are reported as having above average intelligence. It's because people who are smart are expected to achieve, and so when they don't, they get taken to the doctor, and the doctor finds out, oh, this is what's happening. People who are dumb aren't expected to achieve, so they aren't taken to the doctor, so they're not fucking so they're not flipping so they're not diagnosed unicorns. Unicorn!
I was terrified.
Actually, Sneako, by the way, is a perfect example of someone who makes it and then goes and says ADHD isn't real because he found his niche. And if he weren't so handsome, this is a fucking handsome dude. If he weren't so handsome, he probably wouldn't have made it on YouTube. Oh, I probably should start taking my looks more seriously again. Nah, fuck it. So some ugly kid who's making videos, who's watching this and has ADHD, I hope they see this video as well. He's making this video.
Normal or society, normal society, whatever we deem as normal society, when it comes to the road, would drive either like the speed limit or just go maybe like 10, 20 miles or whatever over because you're on the highway. You were going like 50 miles like higher. On top of that, you were trying to race somebody. It's basically your hyperactivity, like that part of you taking over because you're like, oh, I want to go fast. Like everything for you is
impulsivity.
Fast, be done. Like that's part of your fidgeting.
See, all right, but here's a statistic that I read the other day in ADHDresources.org or something. You keep making me forget what the fuck I'm talking about. It said
it's not her fault.
Hold on. It said that males are 5 times more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD when they're children.
Yeah.
Because what I think, it's not because there's any difference in our brains, it's because men just are risk takers. We're more likely to be adventurous.
There's also other factors that are part of ADHD that men are more likely to partake in.
Like what?
Bro, he would have gotten there. He would get it if he just knew how to think. Because there are so many things he just did, which I'm not going to go through all of them. But there's so many little moves he just made that don't make any sense, sort of logically. Or he's just so ready to accept this conclusion that ADHD isn't real. Mental diagnosis is extremely sexist. Extremely. Things that impair academic achievement are obviously going to be defined according to the performance of men, because they are the ones that academically achieved. They are the ones who are allowed to academically achieve. Things that involve being just fucking crazy, hysterical, are more women things. I mean, they're disorders that are defined according to how they manifest in women. So ADHD is very well could be defined according to how it manifests in boys. So ADHD, you think there's ADD and ADHD. Okay. So there's 3 types of ADHD. The clinical term is just ADHD. There's no such thing as ADD anymore. The 3 types are ADHD inattentive type, which we've seen more in women, ADHD hyperactive type, and ADHD combined type. There are a lot of reasons that can contribute to why it's diagnosed that way as far as men, women, and also why it could actually be that way. Society encourages boys to be boys. It does not let girls be women or something. It does not let them be loud and obnoxious. If you put a gun to my head, I can act like a normal person. Because that's going to change. That gun and that fear and that threat is going to change my brain chemistry. If you put a gun in my head, I can get some of my homework done. Likewise, if you're ridiculed by your friends for being too hyperactive and not being a lady, for being too impulsive, and going and having sex and stuff, and you're called a slut and stuff for being impulsive, that could affect your behavior.
Dropping out of school.
Okay.
Grades being lower for the most part.
My grades are fine. I had a 3.0. I kept my scholarship when I was in school. I did what I had to do. I did okay.
Well, what is your point right now, Sneako? What is your point? You admit that you are different than other people, right? So why are you now arguing? Oh shit! Hold on. Are you still recording? God damn it, I think my camera just died. Hold on. We're back. Back. So I don't know what his point was. Well, I guess we'll see.
Or did you procrastinate?
I procrastinated all of it, but so does every college student. Come on.
Okay, but
But no. Yeah, a lot of students procrastinate, but not to the point where it's pathological. I mean, it's just such a failure to think. Period. Damn, bro. I'm so disappointed. I mean, this is what I'm trying to work on with all of you, the ability to sort of think somewhat logically. The point that all college students procrastinate is both irrelevant and false. Many college students procrastinate, maybe most, but not all. That's why it's false, but okay. He was just speaking hyperbolically, no big deal. The reason it's irrelevant is because it's about the level of procrastination. It's about whether you end up dropping out. It's about whether turning in a paper that's kind of decent on time. Well, I don't know that I did that. I'm sure I did, but fewer than 10% of the time. So, less than 10% of the time.
you would procrastinate until when?
The last second.
The very last second.
Because I work better under pressure. I need that pressure to work.
Which is part of the disorder. Oh God. which actually, incidentally, viewers, is a part of the disorder. Educate yourself in a nice way.
And would you text me that you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, your paper's due at 9?
Yo, I'm not the only one who does that. I feel like every college student is like that.
Okay, if they do it last minute, they do it the night before, not till 5 o'clock in the morning because their paper's due at 9 o'clock.
I just need that pressure.
I mean, I don't know why I imagine a conversation with him would be productive, but I do. I really think that it would be. But what are you doing? You're going and then, yes, that's what ADHD is. I mean, it's literally this guy is sitting in a wheelchair. Or no, he's sitting on this bench. His legs don't work. And she's saying, you're always sitting down. He goes, yeah, most Americans sit down. We are in the house and then we get in a car and then we sit at work or whatever. And she goes, yeah, but you sit down a lot. Yeah, I know, because my legs kind of hurt. Because my legs don't, because it's just better for me. Yeah, because
not maintaining a steady job.
Jobs are boring.
yes.
My whole point of this thing is that it's not a mental illness.
Okay,
It's just an inability to do things that are boring.
To maintain a...
And actually, incidentally, you could define ADHD as an inability to do things that are boring, plus other things, plus there's social aspects, plus there's personal emotional issues. But yeah, and doing things that are boring, that's part of being an adult. So if you can't do that, well, that difference about you could be considered a clinical issue. So he's just really caught up in the terminology, and that's kind of why I tried to preempt any thoughts that you may have about what it means to have an illness. Yes, there's something wrong with people who have cancer. Yes, there's something wrong with people who have ADHD. Yes, there's something wrong with people who are short. But just because there's something wrong with them doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them, basically. There's nuance. Our language isn't even really prepared for it.
Okay, you quit Subway.
I quit at Subway after 3 days, and I had a temp job where I had to enter data into a sheet. But both of them were boring as shit. You have to make sandwiches and then...
I mean, I think we're done here.
Maybe I'm just not meant to do regular shit like that. Maybe I'm meant to do... Yes. Yeah, I'm not even joking.
I know.
Maybe I'm meant to do... I'm not even getting sensitive.
You're sensitive.
I'm not sensitive.
The reason you quit Subway, rather than being that your personality/brain is different from other people's and could benefit from medication, is that God chose you to have how many subscribers so far? 548,000 subscribers. That's why you quit Subway. So you can make these videos. I think that's far more likely than the idea that your brain is written differently than a lot of other people's. But again, that's the other thing. I'm like, what is he trying to show or say? Because he would admit that he's different, but he just wouldn't call it an illness. I wouldn't call it an illness either. Would he call it disorder? No, because he doesn't know the difference between disorder and illness. So why am I willing to call it disorder and he isn't? Well, because it's an inability. It's an incompetence. It's an impediment. It's an obstacle. Well, I shouldn't say obstacle. It's an impediment. And when people think that impediment isn't real, they think, okay, then you can do what everybody else can do. And so then when you don't do those things, well, that sucks. You get really rejected by sort of a lot of people, organizations, whatever. And you're misjudged. As being a weasel, as being manipulative, as being a liar, as being lazy. No matter how much an ADHD person might want to work, sometimes it just doesn't happen. Same for people who don't go to the gym every day. They may want to, but it doesn't happen. And there are people who have a better brain who are able to get themselves to the gym. And of course, the gym helps them even have an even better brain. So, and how ADHD ruined my life. I guess that's where we'll conclude this. Because I'm done with the video. Maybe he has some amazing conclusion. And maybe a bunch of his fans, if anybody sees this video, his fans can tell me how I should have watched the whole thing. But fuck that. And they would be right, I guess. Except there's no real indication and I have other things to do. My other things to do are to make shitty videos as well. So I am intelligent. If I didn't know that I had ADHD and if I weren't taking medication for it, I would be so fundamentally different. I wouldn't believe that I'm intelligent. My ADHD is so severe. I wouldn't have gone to the Illinois Math and Science Academy. That's where I went for high school. A very selective boarding school. I wouldn't have gotten into a good college. Oberlin College is pretty good. I wouldn't have had the research experience I did with David Eagleman, who's like a prominent neuroscientist. I would know that I have some good ideas, but I don't know that I would develop them. And I would just believe what everybody's saying, that, and everybody would be saying that I'm probably kind of not just spastic, but kind of dumb. My own friends have started reevaluating my intelligence because they make much more money than I do, because I don't make any money. I'm unemployed, and they've got, 6-figure jobs. So I've got a friend who's like, my friend, he graduated college, he got a 6-figure job, and so I would just have a lot more people like that in my life telling me, well, you don't seem all that smart because you haven't even graduated college. Well, no, in my case, I would have gone to a shittier high school. I would have gone to a shitty high school, or even an average one, rather than research about ADHD is extremely important, as is research about treatments for it, medical, physical and otherwise. And that's the point of my video, I guess. Now I'm going to spend a bunch of time editing this, when what I should be doing is working on my song for you guys. No, I'm not. Fuck it. Even though one day I'll make a video that gets a whole bunch of views because it's short enough to be watched by everybody. But that's not the goal. The goal is, for anybody who was willing, thank you, to learn something.
But no, I don't check my messages. I don't get an alert about it. I don't find out about it. Subscribe for more.